A silent cry for help. In the quiet darkness of space, near Jupiter's orbit, a small research station floated like a lonely star. Inside, Dr. Elias Carter sat at his desk, staring at the endless void. Space was silent, but tonight, something felt different. A faint signal blinked on his screen. Elias frowned. No ships were expected near this area. He leaned closer. The signal repeated, slow, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. But there were no words, no language, just a deep, sorrowful hum. Strange, Elias whispered. He adjusted the frequency, trying to understand. The signal grew louder, but still no words. It felt sad, desperate. Elias's heart pounded. "Who are you?" he whispered, knowing no one could hear him. The signal continued. A cry for help, maybe? Elias couldn't ignore it. He quickly scanned the area. There it was, a damaged ship floating not far from his station. It looked abandoned, lifeless. Should I go? Elias asked himself. It was risky, but something inside him whispered, go. Help. He suited up, heart racing. As his small shuttle approached the alien ship, he felt a chill. The ship was old, broken, and dark. But as he got closer, a faint light flickered inside. Someone is alive. Elias docked and entered carefully. The air was thin. Sparks danced across the damaged walls. And then he saw it, a figure curled up in a corner. It wasn't human. Its skin shimmered like glass, changing colors softly. Its eyes were large and full of fear. Elias froze. The alien stared at him, trembling. "Hey, I'm not here to hurt you," Elias said softly. Of course, it couldn't understand him. The alien didn't move, but Elias felt something. A wave of emotion washed over him. Fear, pain, loneliness. Elias gasped. Was it? Communicating through feelings. He moved closer, slowly. The alien flinched but didn't run. Its breathing was shallow. Elias realized it wouldn't survive much longer in this broken ship. "I can help," Elias whispered, "but you have to trust me." The alien didn't respond, but its eyes softened, just a little. Elias took that as a yes. Carefully, he helped the alien to his shuttle. Back at his station, Elias gave the alien oxygen and warmth. The alien sat silently, watching him. Elias felt a strange connection. "Who did this to you?" Elias asked quietly. The alien's eyes darkened. Elias felt another wave of emotion. Fear, and something worse. A warning. Something was out there. Something dangerous, and it was coming. The last of its kind. Elias sat quietly across from the alien, the soft hum of the station's systems filling the silence. The alien's breathing had steadied, but its large, glass-like eyes held a deep sadness that Elias couldn't ignore. "Who are you?" Elias whispered, knowing he wouldn't get a verbal answer. The alien blinked slowly, and suddenly, Elias felt it, a wave of emotion crashing into him like a silent scream. Fear, pain, loss. Elias gasped, clutching his chest. The emotions weren't his, but they felt so real. The alien was communicating through feelings. Elias's mind filled with flashes of broken images. Tall, elegant structures crumbling into dust, screams echoing in the void, and a dark, shapeless presence swallowing everything in its path. Elias staggered back. "Your home. It's gone," he asked softly. The alien nodded, its shimmering skin flickering between deep blue and pale silver, like a shifting ocean under moonlight. Elias felt a pang of sorrow. "You're the last one, aren't you?" Elias's voice cracked. The alien's silence was enough of an answer. Elias's mind raced. An entire species wiped out. By what? And why? He had so many questions, but one thing was clear. This alien, fragile and alone, had nowhere left to go. Suddenly, a soft hum echoed through the station, making Elias freeze. It wasn't from his systems. He checked his console. Another signal. But this one wasn't like the aliens. This was sharp, precise, and cold. Elias's blood ran cold. "They're looking for you," he whispered, realizing the terrifying truth. The alien's shimmering skin turned dark, almost black, and Elias felt its fear. Whatever destroyed its home was now hunting it. And they were close. Elias clenched his fists. He couldn't let this creature, this last survivor, fall into the hands of whatever nightmare was chasing it. "Don't worry," he whispered, his voice firm. "I'll keep you safe." The alien looked at him, surprised. Elias wasn't sure if it understood his words, but the soft glow returning to its skin told him it understood his intent. But deep inside, Elias knew this was just the beginning. The language of survival. Elias paced the narrow corridor of his station, heart pounding. The alien sat in the corner of the small med bay, its glass-like skin shimmering faintly under the soft lights. Its eyes never left him, watching, waiting. The signal, the cold, sharp pulse Elias detected, still echoed in his mind. Whoever was searching for the alien was close. Too close. Elias stopped and looked at the creature. "We need to talk," he whispered. The alien blinked slowly, and Elias felt it again, a wave of emotions rushing through him. Confusion, fear, but also curiosity. "Okay," Elias muttered. "Let's start simple." He tapped his chest. "Elias." The alien tilted its head. Slowly, it raised a trembling hand and tapped its own chest. A soft hum vibrated through the room. "Kareth." Elias repeated the sound carefully. The alien's skin glowed softly. Elias smiled. "Okay, Kareth. Now we're getting somewhere." But communication wouldn't be easy. Elias couldn't keep guessing emotions. They needed a system, something simple. His eyes flicked to the console. Light. Sound. That could work. Elias grabbed a small handheld device, flicking it on and off. Kareth watched intently. Elias tapped it twice. "Good," Elias whispered when Kareth blinked in response. Slowly, over the next few hours, they built a fragile bridge of understanding. Light for yes, silence for no, soft hum for uncertainty. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Finally, Elias asked the question burning in his mind. "Who is hunting you?" Kareth's body tensed, and the soft glow of its skin flickered. A long, low hum vibrated through the room. Elias shivered. Danger, death, shadows that devoured light. Elias's throat went dry. What? What do they want? Another wave of emotions. Hunger. Not for food, but for something deeper. Silence. Emptiness. Fear. Elias clenched his fists. "They feed on fear," he whispered. Kareth blinked, its glow steady. "Yes." Elias felt sick. "And they destroyed your people because they fought back." The hum grew louder, sharper. Not just fought back. Because they had hope. Elias froze. Hope. That's what these creatures wanted to destroy. Suddenly, alarms blared through the station. Elias rushed to the console, heart racing. A ship. No, not a ship. Something darker, like a shadow cutting through the void, was approaching fast. "They found us," Elias whispered. Kareth trembled, pressing itself into the corner. Elias felt its fear, but beneath it, something else flickered. Trust. "I won't let them take you," Elias promised, determination burning in his chest. The hunt had begun. The shadows that devour. Elias stared at the screen, dread tightening his chest. The station's sensors flickered erratically as the dark presence approached. It wasn't a ship in the traditional sense. It was something else, something that bent light, swallowed sound, and twisted reality itself. Kareth trembled in the corner, its translucent skin flickering between pale silver and deep, fearful black. Elias clenched his fists. He couldn't let these things take Kareth. Not after everything. "Stay here," Elias whispered, though he knew the alien wouldn't understand his words. Still, Kareth's large, glassy eyes followed him as he rushed to the control room. The station's systems stuttered as the shadow drew closer. Elias's fingers flew over the controls. If this thing wanted silence, he'd give it noise. The hum of the station grew louder as Elias powered up every system, every backup generator. Lights blazed through the corridors, and speakers blared static into the void. But the shadow didn't stop. It seeped closer, wrapping around the station like a predator circling its prey. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died. Silence fell like a heavy weight. Elias's breath quickened. They were here. A soft whisper, not a sound but a feeling, crept into his mind. Fear. Surrender. Give up. No, Elias growled. Not today. He grabbed a handheld communicator, switching it to a high-frequency pitch. It wasn't much, but it was loud, and the shadow recoiled slightly. Kareth appeared at the doorway, its body trembling but eyes determined. Elias felt a wave of trust, and something more. Hope. You're not alone, Elias whispered. Suddenly, the station shook violently. The shadow had breached the outer hull. Elias and Kareth stumbled as the darkness seeped through the walls, tendrils of void reaching out. Elias's mind was filled with whispers. Give up. Surrender. Be silent. But then he felt Kareth's presence beside him, humming softly. The sound wasn't loud, but it was steady, a song of survival, of defiance. Elias joined in, tapping a rhythmic pattern on the metal wall. The shadow recoiled. Elias realized it then. The enemy thrived on silence, on fear. But sound, hope, and resilience pushed it back. He activated the station's emergency alarms, flooding the corridors with noise. The shadow screeched silently, pulling back. But it wasn't gone. Not yet. Elias turned to Kareth. We need to fight together. Kareth's glow brightened. It was ready. The battle for survival had only just begun. A human's defiance. Elias's breathing was shallow, his heart pounding like a distant drum echoing through the silent halls of the station. The darkness that had seeped through the walls wasn't just any enemy. It was a force beyond comprehension. A void that consumed hope, light, and sound itself. And now, it was here. Kareth stood beside him, its shimmering skin flickering between pale silver and a determined blue. Its large eyes mirrored Elias's fear, but also his resolve. We're not giving up, Elias whispered. Kareth hummed softly, the sound vibrating through the metal floors. It was a strange comfort, a reminder that they were still alive, still fighting. Elias's fingers danced over the control panel. Every system was failing under the weight of the shadow's presence. Lights flickered, oxygen levels dropped, and the hum of the station's core grew weaker. They're trying to break us, Elias muttered. The whispers grew louder in his mind. Surrender. Be still. Let go. Elias clenched his fists, shaking his head. No, you don't know humans very well. He turned to Kareth. If your people survived longer than they should have, it means there's a way to fight this thing. What did they do? Kareth blinked, and Elias felt the alien's memories flow into him like a rushing river. A beautiful world, filled with tall crystal towers and shimmering lakes, now reduced to ashes. Kareth's people, the Valith, were peaceful but resilient. They fought not with weapons, but with unity. Their strength came from hope, from never giving up. The shadow fed on silence, on the absence of resistance. But the Valith had found a way to resist, through constant motion, sound, and defiant will. Elias's mind clicked into place. They needed to keep moving, keep making noise. Kareth, Elias said, determination burning in his voice, we need to keep this station alive. We can't let it fall silent. Kareth nodded, its glow steady. Suddenly, the darkness pushed harder. Elias felt the station groan under the pressure. The lights flickered again, and the cold, whispering void seeped through the cracks. Elias grabbed a metal wrench and slammed it against the wall repeatedly, the loud clang echoing through the corridor. The darkness recoiled slightly. But it wasn't enough. Kareth hummed louder, its sound vibrating through the walls like a song. Elias's eyes widened. That was it. They needed a constant rhythm, a heartbeat of resistance. He sprinted to the control room, flipping every switch he could find. Engines, life support, heating systems, anything that made noise. The station roared to life, and the shadow screamed silently, pulling back. But Elias knew it wouldn't last long. They needed more. Kareth joined him, touching the console. A soft pulse of energy flowed through the station, amplifying every sound. Elias felt a surge of hope. But then, the whispers returned, louder than before. You can't win. You are alone. Give up. Elias clenched his jaw. Alone? You really don't know humans, do you? He slammed a button, sending out a distress signal across the system, a desperate cry for help. Elias knew it was a gamble. No one might come. But he had to try. Kareth looked at him, uncertainty flickering in its eyes. Elias gave a small, tired smile. Humans don't give up, he whispered. We keep fighting, even when everything seems lost. The darkness pushed harder, but Elias and Kareth stood their ground. This wasn't the end. Not yet. Far away, in the silent void of space, someone heard the distress call. Help was coming. But would it arrive in time? Hope in the dark. The station trembled under the weight of the shadow's presence, an oppressive silence creeping through every corridor, every room. Elias clutched the edge of the console, his knuckles white. The alarms were loud, but the darkness was louder, its whispers gnawing at his mind. Surrender. Give up. Be still. Kareth, standing beside him, trembled but did not falter. Its translucent skin flickered with a soft, determined glow. Elias felt its fear, but beneath that, a flicker of trust in him. Come on, Elias muttered, his fingers flying across the controls. There has to be a way. The distress signal he sent out pulsed through the void, but he knew help was far, and time was short. The station's power systems were failing one by one. Life support flickered dangerously low. Kareth let out a soft hum, the vibrations soothing Elias's rising panic. He turned to the alien, searching its eyes. We need to keep moving. Keep making noise. It's the only thing keeping that thing away. Kareth nodded, its glow steadying. Elias grabbed a portable speaker from the supply closet, blasting static through the corridors. It wasn't much, but it created sound, a barrier against the approaching void. The shadow pressed harder, tendrils of darkness seeping through the station's cracks. Elias felt it in his mind. Cold, empty, endless. It wasn't just hunting them. It was feeding on their fear, their exhaustion. We can't let it win, Elias whispered, more to himself than to Kareth. Suddenly, Kareth reached out, touching Elias's shoulder. A wave of emotion rushed through him. Not fear, but a memory. A memory of the Valith people standing together, humming in unison, their voices vibrating through their cities. It wasn't just sound, it was music, a song of survival, of unity. It kept the darkness at bay. Elias blinked. Music, he whispered. Of course. He sprinted to his quarters, digging through his belongings until he found it. A small old music player. With a shaky hand, he pressed play. Soft music filled the room, a simple, calming melody. Kareth tilted its head, listening intently. Elias turned up the volume, and the shadow outside the station hesitated, its whispers faltering. Kareth joined in with its hum, harmonizing with the melody. Elias felt a strange warmth in his chest. They were fighting back. But the shadow wasn't done. It pushed harder, cracking the station's outer shell. Elias stumbled as the floor shook violently. No, 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 he shouted, rushing back to the control room. Oxygen levels were critical. Power was almost gone. Elias's hands trembled. They needed more time. Kareth's hum grew louder, and Elias turned to see the alien's glow intensifying. It reached out, touching the station's core. "What are you doing?" Elias asked, fear creeping into his voice. Kareth's emotions flowed into him. Sacrifice, hope, trust. "No," Elias shook his head violently. "No, I won't let you die to save me." But Kareth's glow only brightened. It was giving its own energy to the station, stabilizing it. Elias's heart clenched. "There has to be another way," he whispered. Suddenly, a new signal flashed on the screen. Elias's eyes widened. A ship. Someone had heard the distress call. Help was coming. Elias turned to Kareth, tears in his eyes. "Hold on, just a little longer." The shadow screamed silently, pulling back as the distant ship's energy signature grew stronger. Elias and Kareth held on, their hope shining brighter than the darkness. But the battle wasn't over yet. The dawn of a new alliance. The station trembled violently, each shudder a reminder that time was slipping through Elias's fingers like grains of sand. The darkness outside, the shadow that consumed hope and light, was relentless. Its whispers clawed at his mind, urging him to give in. "Surrender. Be silent. There is no escape." Elias gritted his teeth. "You don't know me," he whispered. "You don't know humans." Beside him, Kareth's glow flickered, its strength waning. The alien's shimmering skin, once vibrant, now pulsed weakly. Elias knew it had given too much of its energy to keep the station alive. "Stay with me," Elias pleaded softly. "Help is coming." A faint signal on the console confirmed it. The rescue ship was approaching fast, but so was the Shadow's final assault. Elias's mind raced. If they didn't hold out, help would arrive too late. The Shadow coiled around the station, pressing in, suffocating every system. Lights dimmed, alarms faltered, and even the music Elias had played, a desperate attempt to keep the darkness at bay, began to distort. Kareth let out a low hum, barely audible now. Elias felt its fear, but also its trust. It believed in him. "No more running," Elias whispered. "We fight." He scanned the station's systems, searching for anything, any weapon, any defense. But this wasn't a battle of weapons. The Shadow wasn't something that could be shot down or destroyed by brute force. It fed on fear, on silence, on hopelessness. Elias clenched his fists. "Then we'll give it the opposite." He turned to Kareth. "Your people fought this thing with unity, with sound, with hope, right?" Kareth blinked slowly. "Yes." Elias's mind raced. "If we amplify that, if we create something so loud, so filled with hope, maybe, just maybe, we can push it back." The alien's glow flickered brighter. It was risky, but it understood. Elias rushed to the station's core, his fingers flying over the controls. He rerouted every remaining bit of power into the station's communication systems, not to send a signal, but to broadcast. Every speaker, every frequency, every possible output channel would blast one thing into the void: hope. Kareth joined him, placing its trembling hands on the console. Together, they generated a sound, not just noise, but a melody, a song of survival, of defiance. Elias's voice, shaking but determined, echoed through the station. "We are here. We will not give up. We are human, and we fight." The melody grew louder, Kareth's hum harmonizing with Elias's voice. The sound rippled through the station, then out into space. The Shadow recoiled violently, its whispers turning into silent screams. It pressed harder, but the sound was relentless. Elias and Kareth didn't stop. They couldn't stop. Suddenly, the rescue ship appeared on the station's radar. Elias felt a surge of relief, but the battle wasn't over. The Shadow lunged, trying to smother the last flickers of hope. Elias pushed every last bit of power into the signal. "Come on," he whispered. "Not now. Not when we're so close." Kareth's glow intensified one last time, and Elias felt its strength flow through him. Together, they sent out one final burst of sound, a sound filled with every ounce of hope, every bit of defiance, every whisper of survival. The shadow screamed silently, its form flickering. And then, with a final shudder, it pulled back, retreating into the void. Not destroyed, but defeated, for now. Elias collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. Kareth slumped beside him, weak but alive. Moments later, the rescue crew boarded the station, pulling Elias and Kareth to safety. As they left the damaged station behind, Elias looked out at the endless stars. The shadow was still out there, but so were they. Kareth, once a lonely survivor, was no longer alone. And Elias, a simple human, had proven that hope could shine even in the darkest corners of the universe. Together, they would face whatever came next. Because humanity never gave up. And neither would they.